I think I just stepped in water. I'm gonna go make coffee. Currently, it's pouring down rain. Has been for a couple hours, and hasn't rained in a while, so we haven't really known if we have a leak that's fixed or still leaking. Let me show you what's going on.
I would say that's a pretty substantial leak. Here, Andrew. Let's mop it up. This is why we haven't installed any flooring. We need to keep hunting these leaks. We've sealed most everything that we can think of. I don't know where it's coming from. We may actually have to open the walls and track it, which I hesitate to do. It's just so invasive, but floor rot is more invasive, so we really need to figure this out. We've been hunting this leak for months. This is the other side of the bed, and you can see the dark spots here wicking in all the way down. I don't know if it's behind the power station bedside nightstand, but we'll report back as we figure it out.
When I pushed on the wall, it was squeezing out, which makes me think it's coming from higher than the floor level.
Right, because it wouldn't come out of the C channel at the bottom unless the C channel was full, right?
It's only 7 a.m., still actively raining. We really can't dig into this right now, but we've got to tackle this weekend. I think one of the things I can rule out right now that I've seen in previous Airstreams we've owned is the window channel here will fill up with water, and then it runs down the back side of the wall panel to the floor. I don't see the window channel filling up, so...
We've just spent so much time sealing everything on the roof and then along the belt lines and stuff. I don't know where it's coming from.
Bottom line is we just got to keep looking. Right now I'm going to check anywhere I have access for signs of water leakage. Wish me luck.
Good luck. Anything?
Not in front of the wheel well. This is okay. I'm gonna go methodically down the trailer and look anywhere I have access, and I'll report back. Not much to see in beside the water heater, but I can see the back edge of the wheel well. I have no water there. Right now we're curbside in the Airstream. The leak basically stops here even with the end of the bed. So essentially in the first few feet from the curve is where the majority of the water is that we're seeing. I don't see it leaking past this wall here, which is headed for the bathroom. No signs of leakage in the bathroom. Found a spot that's leaking, and it's showing me a little bit about where the water's coming from. Coming in on the bedside table, we've got water running, looks like out of the ground port on this outlet. Watching water run out of an outlet's never good. The good news is I can pop that outlet plate off to see if there's any clear evidence of where it's coming from to get to the outlet. Sean is back from switching over the laundry. She hasn't seen this yet.
What's up?
That.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Dude, that's electricity and water. Turn it off.
Yep, I'm gonna turn this off now and then take the plate off and see what we've got.
I think we might need to get into the walls while it's raining and start tracking.
Yeah. If previous Airstream ownership has taught us anything, it's really hard to guess where these leaks come from.
It can be a little bit like chasing windmills in that, you know, how a leak will leak as your body of your rig is tipped one way or another. So we really just have to start investigating and tracing the water. But first things first, Andrew, let's turn the power off, please.
I think so. All right. Just throwing out a guess. I might put my money on that marker light. Just a guess. All right, this has gone from 120 volts to off. My expectation here is that I've got water coming from higher up running onto the top of this outlet or onto the back of the outlet and getting wicked in. Word of advice if you want to remove these outlets, they're not terribly hard. It's not a screw that goes through the wall, it's a cam that flips and locks it from coming out. So it slides in and then locks. So just be aware of that. You don't want to just keep cranking the screw because the cam will fall off. Yeah. Loop of wires goes up and I've got water on the top and the water's running down the wire and into the top of the outlet. I'm gonna come back to this, but before I get distracted, I'm gonna search the rest of the interior perimeter of the trailer for active leaks while it's still raining. All right, all clear here in Timmy's house, no sign of water. I think I found a new one. It's leaking right at the edge of this wheel well. There's a couple water connections that come in Maybe it's leaking around them. I don't really know. It's hard to see. A lot of pipes and things in my way.
But that's why we're doing this. We're looking for the places that we have intrusion while it's actually raining, and then on a dry day we can seal it up. Maybe it'll be dry enough tomorrow. Who knows?
Maybe.
Onward.
I'm trying to figure out if we've got any leakage around the furnace, and so far I don't see any signs of it.
Do you want to just unbolt that furniture and slide it forward?
If there's any sign, yes, but I think we're going to be okay. I think we just have so far the 3 leaks, the 2 up in the bedroom and the 1 around the wheel well here on this side behind the shower. Tracing an Airstream leak source can be frustrating because you don't know if you've got one up-high leak source giving you 3 different exit points or if you've got 3 separate individual leaks.
Well, in some sense it doesn't really matter because we have to seal the whole thing up anyway and make it stop before our floor rots.
Absolutely. Current status is we've got a leak somewhere here, and then we've got a leak down here a couple feet away. Hard to know if they're the same leak or a different leak. Anything here could be involved. The marker light, this awning mount, the window frame, the rub rail, I think even the Tommy Bahama mount, because I don't know if they seal behind these rivets. So it could just be wicking down one of these rivets. It's hard to know. Now over here at the wheel well, I have my suspicions. We've got the original gaskets, now a few years old, around these. I think they're foam, and ultimately what I would like to do is probably seal around them when this is dry. That goes for both of these. Over here, the water connections present some of the same issues and maybe some more. And there actually may be a good solution for this. Now this campground is one of the first ones that we've ever been in where we leave our connections hooked up. And let me show you the issue with this. I've just discovered on this one that I've got a little bit of a gap in that foam gasket. A commonly sold RV accessory is an angle here so that the weight of the water in the hose isn't straining the connection to the side of the trailer. I don't want to make any promises that this is exactly where this particular water leak is coming from that we're seeing down on the floor, but it's the closest thing I've got to an obvious answer. Leaks are part of all RV life, and while I want to launch into fixing this right now, I've got to wait for things to dry out a little bit. The sealants I want to use can't be used in the wet. We're gonna have to wait for things to dry out. A few hours, a few days. We are gonna tackle these leaks, not right now. Not quite as deep as we've seen it by any stretch, but about 2 inches from the edge here. I've got a little bit of a situation here. I've got a screw here. I think it's only a set screw for the back edge of the awning. I don't think it actually goes into the body of the Airstream, but there's no sealant. And this channel here frequently is carrying water, either from condensation of the ACs, or when it rains, we've got water sitting in this tray. I don't like this screw sitting without sealant. I'm gonna put some on it now. After a thorough investigation, at least it's really hard to be thorough because it's really hard to see where water might go in. But suffice to say, after a thorough investigation, I think I'm going to caulk the top edge of this window here, and I'm going to probably caulk the marker light. Let me show you what I'm looking at. The top edge of the window here, I think it could be better. I'm going to add some par bond all along there. This is all kind of muddy tannin soaked water from wiping it out of the back edge of the awning. When it rains though, water flows down here, down the side of the trailer. Does it put an excess amount of water here, and could that possibly cause a leak? I really don't know. It's hard to tell. The other point where we could have water intrusion is possibly how these hinges are attached here. I'm not sure they're sealed to the body, top and bottom, in the most effective way. The outlet is just behind here, so it's coming in somehow near or above the outlet. I think when it comes right down to it, I really have nothing to lose by putting a bead down the top of the window frame, so I'm gonna start there. Okay, I'm the first to admit my left-handed technique isn't that great. And it's the hardest to stop and start again and keep the bead nice. So, about to see how that works out. The stuff is self-leveling, so to some degree, but what I'm really gonna have to do is watch to see if this sealant I'm adding just drops into the crack and I have to come back and do it again. We'll see. I really am taking a guess here, but I'm pretty sure my leak that comes down right behind the wheel well is coming from here. So this is where I'm gonna caulk first. Pretty happy with how that stuff went on right there. Next one down had to be a little bit of a fatter bead. It's not really my favorite, but it's going to be okay. I think it's going to solve what is probably our leak point here. In our older Airstream trailers, most of the exterior stuff like this that would give you an access point into the body for whatever, water, anything really, most of that stuff was sealed to the body with a urethane caulk of some kind, and it gives you good adhesion. These newer Airstreams, they seem to be done with foam gaskets. I really don't know what the longevity of these foam gaskets is. I could, I guess, get a new gasket package to redo all this stuff, just put it back with the same foam gasket, or I could slowly and steadily use some kind of caulking around them. This window doesn't seem as gapped out as the other side, so I mean, it might be the leak point. Unfortunately, it's so hard to know for sure where your water's coming from. You really just do have to do a little bit of sealing and then check it, sealing and check it. So maybe it'll rain again next weekend. I think I did okay. Be a real kick if it's actually the Tommy emblem that's leaking behind the plate and into the rivet holes. I'm not gonna caulk around that without prior approval. Well, I think we're looking at some pretty clear evidence that water has dripped here in the past. Not sure exactly if it's leaking right now, but I'm glad I've gone out there and caulked a little bit to try to mitigate water intrusion. I apologize, it's very hard to film. Deep under here, and then at the wall you can see that there's been a little bit of dripping down the wall. So I have to assume that's coming from the plumbing fixtures entering the Airstream, and hopefully we've got a little bit of progress made by caulking the outside of those entry points. Some people like to say Airstreams don't leak, but the thing is, what leaks are things like around the windows, around the water heater, around the water inlets, power inlet. The bottom line is that any intrusion points, whether it's rivets or screws or body seams, they all need attention and maintenance. So that's what today's been about. It's all about maintenance. So let's jump back to the bumper project that I started working on over 2 weeks ago. Let this sit the whole week with some pretty substantial steel on it so that it's weighted down and dried in place. I'm gonna take the steel off now. Had to be at least 80 pounds. First thing I see is that I don't have a big puddle of water on it, which is when it was taco chipped up at the edges, that was the issue. I would say the one thing I don't like is the sealant squeezing out in a few places, but I think I can go ahead and clean that up with a razor blade. Maybe it'll look better. It might help where the paint is also coming off here. That was something that was happening before I tried to repair the other issue. The biggest, ugliest bits seem to cut right off. I thought I had it. Had to add a little more sealant around where this latch sticks up here because it was lifting. Taking phases will be okay, I think. We'll see. Leaves. It's better, right? It's not taco chipped up at the edges. It's pretty flat. It did take us really 2 rounds of sealant application here. We did a round on this edge to test to see if it would last. Weighted it down a week, and it really stayed pretty well, but there was a little bit of touch-up we had to do. So round 2 got us some touch-up on the front and the back edge, and I'm mostly happy with that, but I see a few things that might need a little touch-up on the back edge. So for all our work, it's taken some time, but I think it's salvaged this, which is good. Didn't want to have to buy another one. I'm thinking it's going to last pretty well. You know, one of the major things I didn't want over the winter was it kind of taco chipped up at the edges, holding water, and leaves settling in it and staining. That's fun, right? I feel like that's kind of fun.